Hey there, folks. So I have a example here to show you. This is called the Thicken command. I've also recently added, you might see this yellow thing following my mouse. When I click, a little circle appears, and when I let go, the circle pops up again. Or I guess it only pops up when I click, but this should help show what I'm clicking on, because I was worried that people might not have been knowing when I was clicking because you couldn't hear the physical click from the mouse. So anyways, enough about that. What I want to show you how to do is how to create these thin features that are kind of centered along a line that you draw. And you can also cut them down into things. And it does look like there's a line here that is called a surface. And it's just sort of like the skeleton that we build that on. So let's say you wanted to sketch something here on this surface. Maybe you wanted to make walls for an object. So you're going to create a line here and you're going to create your shape with all the measurements that it's supposed to have here. And you want to have like a little wall on the corner of this. Maybe you're making a maze, could be anything. What we're going to do here is we created that geometry. We could have dimensioned it here. Maybe we want to be sure that from here to here, it is exactly 10 millimeters. And from here to here, we want it to be exactly 10 millimeters too. So let's go 10. Great. So I'll accept that sketch. And so there's two steps here. First, you extrude what we call a surface. It's different than a normal extrusion. And then you use the thicken command on the surface, which is an infinitely thin surface, plane in space kind of extrusion, to give that some thickness so that it would actually 3D print. So like I said, step one is to extrude. So I'll click on this. And normally we can't, the outline of this is lighting up, but the individual lines are not. But if we click surface instead of solid, so surface here, what we can do now is you'll see I can pick these individual lines. So I get to pick the height of the extrusion just like normal. But again, this is going to create a surface that is infinitely thin. It has zero thickness. It doesn't even exist. And we can see that there's basically no thickness to this wall that's going to be created. So let's click the check mark. So this is like creating a guide for the thicken feature here. So now I'm going to click that. And what this wants you to pick is faces and surfaces. So we just created two surfaces right here. So I'm going to pick this surface. And look at that. It is thickening those. It is giving them thickness. And I can control that amount. And I can go in two directions here. So I could go 0.5 in the outward direction, and maybe I only want to go 2 millimeters in the other direction. Well, we look here. So notice how the inside part is shorter than the outside part. So sometimes a little math is involved here. If you wanted a wall that was 1 millimeter thick, or let's say 2 millimeters thick, if you wanted a wall that was 2 millimeters thick, in one direction, you would go 1 millimeter, tab. In the other direction, you would go 1 millimeter. And what that is going to do is that's going to give you a total of 2 millimeters for your entire thickness of your wall. And now when you click the check mark, everything is accepted and we are good to go. And this is a new part. Okay, that's why it's a different color. So if you want this to be attached, which probably in most cases you would, you are going to right click and go back into that thicken. And you can do this the first time too. But it's better if you messed it up the first time, you can go back and do it. Instead of staying on the new tab, you would go to add. And now it's red because it doesn't know what we're adding to. So we're going to tell it, hey, the merge scope, like what am I going to merge it with? What am I going to melt it to? I'm going to pick this bottom part right here, part 1. And now you see it's all the same color. If I click the check mark, those walls are attached. And we are in a much better place because everything is attached to what it is supposed to be. Those surfaces are left behind. What I did over here was instead of extruding the surface up, I extruded it down. And then when I did the thicken, I have a cut option. So if I go in here and I find that thicken there, if we look, instead of doing new or add, I did remove because that surface was going down in, and I did the exact same thing. And it just changes how much it cuts on each side. So if we wanted it to cut a little more on one side, you see that I can increase that, and it changes the amount there. So this is an example of, again, the thicken tool. The 2 steps are, well, 3 steps, I guess. You create a sketch, but then the 2 main steps after that are you extrude a surface. You select surface instead of solid on the upper tab in the extrusion dialog. And you click the thicken command after you've created that surface, and you can add it to the part that you're already working with to extend it off of the surface. So that is the thicken command. It is right here. Or if you can't find it, you can always type thicken right into this box and you will get it. So I hope this helps some people.